Yeah, so the appreciation game, the basics. So that we've been getting a lot of questions like, can I commit to the appreciation game? Isn't it too much? I hear it's like so much content and stuff, but actually the basis of the appreciation game is not so intense actually as you may think, but it has really big results. So what Abraham Hicks says is, it is our promise to you, if you write things you appreciate in others, in life, and in yourself, you will have such a dramatic change in 30 days. And if continued for 6 months, which is the best, the change will be so powerful, so strong that others who know you will not recognize the old you. So 30 days is huge, but 6 months is complete, utter, like amazing change.
Who are you? Who am I?
So yeah, we had a 7-day appreciation game pilot in August, or was it July of last year, and we already had amazing results in 1 week. So so what is the basis? The appreciation game is appreciating 3 times a day. So usually morning, afternoon, and evening is the easiest for people. And then post in the group once a day. We have a beautiful group, a mighty network. I like the comment from Victoria. More content, please. Post in the group once a day, which doesn't mean you have to post about that daily task, which can be maybe a lot for you if you're really busy with work, but it can also be like, I went from 200 to 500 or whatever today, and I feel so amazing, and I just see myself, or I see myself go up in the graphs, or I'm having difficulty appreciating, and then you ask questions. Like, it doesn't have to be huge, it can be 2 sentences, but you have to post once a day, because that's how we hold you accountable. That's how we can see you're posting, that's how we can see you're doing the work. And the group energy is of course amazing. We love doing it in a group because we're creating this beautiful attractor field together, and what happens for one person starts happening for the others. So we love that. So we would every day, twice a day, write 6 to 8 seconds about all areas in your life, relationship, abundance, house, job, etc. You'll find it very easy to do. That's true, it's really easy to do. 68 seconds, our beautiful app actually now tracks the seconds. So you can just sit there, appreciate, and just check how many seconds you've been appreciating. And so you can see here, 17 seconds of pure thought is 2,000 action hours, which is not, like 68 seconds is not the same amount to 2,000, it's way more, 2 million action hours. So it's so worth to keep doing it. So 68 seconds is so easy, so quick, and so fun, and it really works. Yeah, here you can see how it incrementally goes up.
And I think the main thing is that we have habits of being busy, but actually we're if we look at really the science of people who are just busy and who are not in alignment, they are actually choosing the effort and hard work and struggle over what we would call the alignment work. And when you actually understand the leverage of alignment and the leverage of pure thought and the leverage of, you know, heart and brain coherence, you would never, ever, ever go back to unaligned action. You would know that that is basically a recipe for burnout, a recipe for dissatisfactory results. And, you know, you just have to play the game with us for 1 month and you will know that this is what life is about alignment. But you need, the game is actually set up just because so that you have the accountability and you have the fun in a group. So I'm gonna run you through it, but Ellen is gonna tell you about it. So where is it? Where is our app? Wait.
We just had
yes.
It. Yeah, it looks even better now because it has we have changes. Yes, keeps getting better. So we add appreciation. Here you see the levels of consciousness from the David Hawkins scale. So it goes from lower to higher. Highest is enlightenment. And then you choose, how do I feel right now? So in this moment. So joy. I was thinking joy too. And then next, business, I would say. Next. And then here we go, appreciate.
I appreciate the avalanches of synchronicity and miracles and fun and joyful players into the game. Everybody gets in sync with their source and their highest excitement. Everybody gets a ROI of 100 or more on investment. I love our life. Hi. Next. So basically, we need to, because I haven't done 68 seconds, it will not let me go. It is done, and I am so lucky all the time for no reason.
I hadn't tried that yet. I didn't know it wouldn't let me.
No, it won't let me. So basically what will happen is very often, like today I was having a bit of a moment. I was here at Guild. And then because we want you to be really honest, we don't want you to say, no, I feel loving when you're feeling horrible, right? Because at the lowest level of consciousness, you could be in fear, you could be in guilt, you could be in shame, you could be in apathy, grief. And so, or you could be in desire, meaning you want something, but you don't really believe it. So today I was in guilt at one time. I started appreciating for 68 seconds. I really thought, okay, I'm going to clear up this guilt consciousness because it's going to keep me creating more guilt. I need to go to appreciation. I started appreciating that area in my life. I started turning it around. And then before I knew it, I was somewhere here in willingness, But today we started in love. So now very often after 68 seconds, you feel joy. So I went from joy to joy. Well, yeah, I went from joy to joy. So that's not an improvement. But what is amazing is you see here in the time series, you could see how I'm tracking myself. So you see not a lot of time. So when I'm not feeling good, I will appreciate more. So, but most of the time I'm pretty good, but a lot of people sometimes especially when they start with us, you can see where you are and you can also track where you are. So I have been a lot in the upper scales and other people haven't. Ellen, what is your experience of the app?
Yeah, it's amazing. I was just thinking about the user, how people can use it. So we also have it on the phone. So of course it's handier to have it on your phone when you're somewhere else. But when Angelique was just typing, I really like to type whole stories in there. And so then it's nice that you can use it on the computer as well. So just for people to know that it's nice to have it in your pocket when you're everywhere, but typing, like you can pre-pave in there and stuff like that, which is good too. So yeah, that's the app. And it's amazing. We love it. So what is the next game is waking up in the best case scenario. So the toxic ways of thinking, the 7 toxic ways of thinking, we'll go there later, but those are actually usually they are you're creating your worst case scenario. What are we going to do? We're going to wake up in our best case scenario. So the accountability, 3 times a strike and you're out. You'll be placed in a special subgroup within the Mighty Networks area, and then as when you get a special task that you need to do, and then if you do that special task, you get back into the group, so you're not gone forever. But if you don't do that, then you're not motivated. So we don't want you there, because we want people who want results, who are here to play full on with us. So yeah, so that's why we have the accountability, because we want you to do it. It's not to be annoying or like school or something, because we know it works. So well, if it works, we're going to do it. And that's what we're all about. We're going to do it. We're not going to read and study. We're going to do it. We're going to wake up in our best case scenario together. All of us are going to wake up in the best case scenario, our best case scenario, and the one of the group as well. So group entanglement, that leads me there, is the group energy we're creating, and the group coherence that we're going to have together, and the group intention that we have. We're going to wake up in the best case scenario. But we also do have the daily inspiration and teachings, and I love that Victoria was just saying more content, please, because she loves it. And a lot of people do really love it, but if you're like really busy with work, I mean, yeah, sometimes you just can't do it. So that's why we do not hold you accountable for the optional assignments, but we do know that if you do that, and Victoria knows too, that you'll get the most results. And weekly we have 2 teleclasses. One is with teachings and group sharing and energy work, and the other one during the week is to kick off the next week. So every week there's a theme. So that's when we kick off the new content for the week.
So we want to be really clear about the accountability, because a lot of people are really scared to actually, for the amount of work that the appreciation game is, Actual appreciation game is the way that we ran the pilot, which is you only appreciate 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and evening. You track your mood or your state of consciousness before you appreciate. You appreciate 68 seconds. You can see how quick that goes in our app. Very often people want to stay there for 20 minutes, they want to do it for like 30 minutes, maybe sometimes. And then, but minimum 68 seconds, because you will notice a big jump in your consciousness, in your mood, from to a higher level of consciousness as soon as you've had 68 seconds. And then the other thing that you must do every day is you post once a day in the group. And then you actually can disregard all the daily inspiration. So when you don't post the 3rd time, you will get thrown out into a different group. You will have to get like a different assignment from us, and then you can get back if you do that assignment. The thing is, I know from accountability games that if we don't play it this hard, people will let their excuses and their programs sabotage even the appreciation accountability game. And this is where we are going to help you become successful, because if you cannot even appreciate 3 times a day and you cannot even post once a day, how much are you going to sabotage other areas of your life? So this accountability game is very serious. And so we're going to show you the consequences of not appreciating. I hope that is very much welcomed by our aspirational players.
So yeah, this is the David Hawkins scale of consciousness. The goal is to not hang around in force, but to go up to power, and the higher the better, of course. You'll get more acquainted with this if you don't really know very much, but the border is courage 200. We want to go up from there. And you'll get really familiar with the feelings and emotions and how you are feeling and how to go up. But Angelique will explain that a little bit later. If there's something that you desire and it's not coming to you, it always means the same thing. You're not a vibrational match to your own desire. So that's what we're doing right here. We're being the vibrational match to our desire.
We're creating habits that make it more easy for you to become a vibrational match to your desire. Yeah.
So why play games collectively? Because of the attractor field that we're going to create, positive intentions will be amplified. We'll have new relationships and a sense of belonging, of course. The shared excitement fuels the group consciousness. It's beautiful to see some posts and themes that are happening within each group we've had so far. And what we've really, really noticed is the 100th monkey effect. When one person starts manifesting clients, other people start manifesting clients out of nowhere. That's just how it's worked so far. We already knew this, but it's so fun to see like it actually happening, unfolding before our eyes. And a mastermind becomes one mind through entanglement. So we have one mind that we create together. So this is, if you want to play for 1 month, this is the price, 3 months and 6 months. Of course, it's cheaper when you play for longer. And if you want to sign up, let us know. And I'll send you a link. And at the end, we'll show it again so that you can sign up. And also, if you sign up before the game starts, you get 1 month of the book, A Movie Club, for free.
Yes, and one of the movies that we're watching in the next Law of Vibration Book and Movie Club is The Illusion of Money by Kyle Cease. But we already have, for the next month, we want to watch Bashar's movie, First Contact. And so, but the book will be, we're still debating whether it's going to be Akashic Records or Abraham Hicks book. We're like completely clueless. I think we need to do an angel card drawing or something, Ella, because I love both books so much. But yeah, so
it's also a study group. So it's not like we're going to read one book in a month. We're actually going to take a couple chapters out of the book and study them very much in depth. So it's not a book club like usual book clubs where the last few days you're trying to cram the book into your mind because you haven't read it yet and that you don't learn anything, because we're all about implementing and doing. So we're going to study the book and not just read it. And of course, if you don't like the game, then you get your money back within 14 days, but you have to be playing it full out. Otherwise, you don't know that it doesn't work because you haven't been doing it.
Yeah, so you can join for 14 days. And if you don't like it, because even playing full out for 14 days, you're not feeling it, you hate the group, you hate Abraham Hicks, you hate Ellen and Angelique, we'll give you the money back. Please don't be there. But if you do, I think because we really are so convinced that if you play full out for 14 days, you're going to see the benefits, but you still don't have to play with us. Maybe you're better off doing it by yourself, So definitely that's why we really want to there's actually no risk of joining.
So yeah, this is the book club, a book and movie club. Still debating the book. This one's really good though.
This one is really good, but I'm also like, oh my God, Abraham, Positive Power of Emotions, so good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll just Ellen will decide, because I'm super indecisive. She's more decisive.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm not indecisive. Appreciation according to Abraham. So it creates a joyful and spectacular life. Victoria said, simple, let's read the book about money. It's a movie. Okay, we'll watch the movie about money. If there was nothing else that you ever came to understand other than just to look for things to appreciate, the only tool you would ever need to predominantly hook you up with who you really are is appreciation. That's all you really have to do. And that's who you really are. When you're in the appreciative state, you come closer to yourself. Like the 7 toxic ways of thinking and being, and the lack of devaluing, which is the opposite of appreciation, that's not you. So if it's the one thing you would ever do, your life would improve in ways you never thought possible. That's why the accountability is only for the appreciation game, because it is that powerful. So yeah, the daily assignments are awesome. It's really cool, and really it makes you go even deeper, but really it's that powerful. So why make something so simple, so powerful, complicated if it doesn't need to be? So that's why we're really stressing how important appreciation is and how effective it is. So the effects of appreciation, according to Abraham, important. The highest vibration that there is, it's higher than love. This vibration creates, and it improves your life. You'll thrive, you'll be in alignment, you'll be in receptive mode. It's the opposite of lack, and you'll stop analyzing. It is your point of focus. So how does it feel? It feels like who you really are. It feels familiar. There's no lack. You feel abundant, prosperous. There's no resistance. There's no doubt. There's no fear. You're sure, even if it seems maybe silly to your rational mind. You're sure of it. There's no anger. You're more peaceful of yourself, and you're more appreciative of yourself and others. You have absence of bad feelings. Makes sense. And the presence of everything that feels good. So you just feel really good. Appreciation in the receptive mode, which results will you experience? So resistance will dissolve. You'll hear blocks of thought that source offers. So we call them downloads. They'll just start coming to you, and it's mainly because the resistance dissolves that you'll start hearing them, because it's always there. You just have to grab it. You'll hear guidance from your inner being. You're following and trusting the impulse that comes in the receptive mode. So those impulses and the downloads that are come, not only are you hearing them and your inner being, but you're also trusting it and taking action upon it, because it just seems like, oh, of course I'm going to do that. Why would I not listen to that voice rather than whatever that toxic stuff was? And so it will lead you to experience a happy, joyful journey towards manifestation.
Instead of the struggle towards manifestation.
Yeah.
And a lot of the players in our game, they will have noticed this, that, very often they say, I sometimes manifest this, sometimes manifest that. And actually, when you appreciate, you become aligned, and that is who you really are. And when you are who you really are, manifestation is much easier. You might still have a few, doubts and like toxic thoughts and ways of being here and there, but because you train yourself to be the habitual chronic habit of appreciation, the manifestations just become more effortless. They become more easy, and they become more surprising, because you're less in lack. You're not living in lack, so you become a vibrational match to having.
So appreciation is the highest vibration. It's higher than love. You line up with source when you're in appreciation, and it's the absence of self-inflicted limitations, really important. It's not anything that anyone else has ever done to you. It's everything that you've done to yourself. So yeah, it takes a while sometimes to get that one in, but yeah, it's true. So what to appreciate? Yourself, your others, which is the same. There are no others. There's only you in a different suit. Appreciate in advance, pre-paving, appreciating the contrast, a big one. We don't recommend this for the first week, maybe, if you're new to this, but contrast is so important to appreciate, because contrast within Abraham Hicks terms means the bad things, or the things that you don't want to have happen. You need to appreciate, if you're able to start appreciating that as well, then you're starting to see really big shifts, I've noticed. Appreciate, of course, success, desire, and the well-being of others. It is the magical formula you have been seeking. State of appreciation, manifestations. The essence of what you appreciate is constantly flowing into your reality. As you find more things to appreciate, even the contrast, it opens up avenues to feel more appreciation for. It becomes so easy. Chronic alignment with the vibration of seeing through the eyes of Source. Source sees everything as you can appreciate everything. There's no more contrast because you're starting to appreciate the contrast. So when you're in lack of self-appreciation, the effects in the external world are, when blaming things external, this is the cause. You create lack in areas of your life, creating negative things in our lives. What we criticize outside of us is actually what we feel about ourselves. And actually what's true is that your inner being adores you.
So imagine what this slide is actually saying is that when we are not aware of appreciation, we start to think outside of ourselves as things being at cause. So we become an effect. So we become a victim because we don't understand. We went into the victim mentality and we started thinking other things are to blame. But actually, the only thing that we are not honoring is our self-knowledge, which is that we're Source and that we're so powerful that when we actually see and act through the eyes of Source, that when we are aligning with that, then actually we love ourselves so much. But not just that, because we see our own wholeness. We see the wholeness in others and in situations, and we just start to download all these amazing impulses that are the solutions to everything that we were looking for. And it all starts with us aligning with who we are. So yeah, so this in our next game, waking up in the best case scenario, really a lot of the exercises are about self-honoring and self-appreciation and getting out of these victim states and victim trance states and victim mentality.
So we found this beautiful appreciation research from the HeartMath Institute. So what we knew from Abraham Hicks and what they confirmed is that gratitude is not the same as appreciation. Gratitude is a part of appreciation, but appreciation goes much deeper because appreciation is increasing the value of something, anything in the environment around you. But gratitude is being grateful for something you've received, which is also beautiful. We all love being grateful and feeling grateful, but appreciation, you increase the value of literally everything. It just, yeah, when we got this confirmation, it blew our minds. So the more you appreciate, the more you literally increase your own and others' value. So do you want to become better? Appreciate yourself. Do you want to have a more harmonious environment? Appreciate the environment. Very simple. So appreciation is a higher degree of coherence in the heart's rhythmic activity. If you're familiar with the HeartMath Institute, it's all about heart coherence. And when you appreciate your heart coherence, your heart becomes coherent. So it increases cognitive performance. It's likened to the natural state of the body, which is 0.1 hertz. Positive emotions are key to optimal functioning and has nearly all spheres of the human experience. So when you are in flow, when you appreciate, you become in flow, which means you're peaceful and you have an internal balance, you're harmonious, you have buoyancy and vitality, your senses are enlivened, you're invigorated, you have less irks in your life, you have a regenerated body and a clear mind. You have clarity in your decisions, everything just seems clear. Intuitive insights, this is from the HeartMath Institute. So this is scientific research, and creativity flows, and you have greater connectedness within yourself and everything around you, which is Source. So it's easier to obtain coherence for a longer duration when you're appreciative. So it's easy to create coherence, but when you're appreciative, the coherence lasts longer. The coherent patterns in the neurological architecture become familiar. So when we keep doing this, it becomes familiar in the neurological architecture, what means it becomes your second nature, and maybe eventually, maybe it will become your first nature.
Become hardwired or a default more, you know, instead of living in stress or living in survival.
So even though we may think we're built towards positivity, we may, more than we know, fall prey to irritation, anxiety, worry, self-doubt, and blame, toxic ways of thinking. We need to consciously make the effort to engage, build, and sustain these positive perceptions and emotions. So these feelings are so familiar to your self-identity, your habitual state of being, but you can change this by constantly being active in your appreciation efforts. So it's your natural state to not be positive, and we create this new state, the new neural networks that are appreciative, and then you have this new state of being that you create from doing this appreciation consciously rather than living your life unconsciously.
These three slides are from this amazing report that we manifested out of nowhere called the Appreciative Heart, which we were looking for many days, and then the download came. Look at HeartMath, and by coincidence, sheer coincidence, I found this report, which was all about appreciation, which is not gratitude, which was full of the science. So another sign that we were guided to actually really find this research.
All right. So off to you, Angelique. I think.
Yeah, so we've heard everything about appreciation, but what happens when we don't appreciate? So when we don't appreciate, we start blaming external things. Yeah, so because that is actually the default mode of how we think. When you actually understand the 7 toxic ways of thinking, you start understanding that people in victim consciousness who have gone into the program, they are actually using the normal way of thinking, which is the 7 toxic ways of thinking. So basically, every time you're in the 7 toxic ways of thinking, which is normal habit, you are not taking responsibility. And when you're not taking responsibility and you're not appreciating, you're creating lack in those areas of your life, you're creating negative things, and really, really, you know, so basically it's all about lack of alignment. So most importantly, what happens, and it's not just money, business, and career, you start to go into creating from a state of survival. So, and when you're creating from a state of survival, you might actually know all the universal laws because you've been to a few retreats or you've read a few books, but your state of being is still running on these programs that are in more identified with the 7 toxic ways of thinking. And all these 7 toxic ways of thinking create an identity, right? And so in those states of survival, you're going to be more tuning into scarcity consciousness. Like, there is not enough this, I am not enough, the business is not enough, the governments are not enough, blah, blah, blah is not enough. Also, people go into urgency. They always think, you know, there's not enough time, there's not enough money, there's not enough clients, I have to compare, I need to compete. They thereby also ignore the levels of consciousness that actually can help them really get more intuitive and get more in sync with the guidance that is coming from source, that is telling them, you know, this is the path of least effort to your success, for your business, for your love life, for your health and well-being. So when they're in all these stress hormones, they can't hear it. Also, this is why they then ignore guidance and their intuition. And very often when we're in a state of survival, we are going to the amygdala, we're going into all these, not oxytocin, but like cortisol and all these very, very high amounts of stress hormones, making us go into sabotage, because you are going to sabotage things when you're in danger, right? You're not going to go for success. You're not going to go for the amazing adventure of whatever you wanted, but you're going to go back. You're going to be scared. And also very often people do fight, flight, or freeze. So others go into victim consciousness. In a state of survival, we definitely, and especially if we're not appreciating ourselves, we are still running those low worth self-esteem issues. So you're going to talk yourself out of possibility, and you're going to project your lack of self-worth onto people around you. So you're always filtering whatever you're perceiving as like, oh, Mom, I'm just not good enough. And even if you come from a lot of pride, you're still just going to have this really small little voice that thinks, I am just not good enough, or other people are better than me. And so you have a lot of subconscious program running you, and you have this mass consciousness thought form. It's called the pendulum of hard work that's going to rule your life. And actually, we know now that success has nothing to do with hard work. If that were true, a lot of people would be very successful and rich. But we know now that actually hard work has nothing to do with success. Hard work is actually the antidote to being successful. The people that are super successful and are super wealthy, they actually understand the laws, and they know a lot about the levels of consciousness, or they are doing it unconsciously. And as the result of that, these people have very beautiful lives in many areas of their life. They're not overwhelmed by one area of life where they have to sacrifice everything for success. No, they actually really build balanced areas in their life where they are deriving satisfaction from each area in their life. And that has everything to do with their alignment. So when you do appreciate, though, you will live in a state of creation. And I will tell you, when I read this in about what Dr. Joe said, a state of creation, I actually really didn't understand what he was talking about. I really tried to understand what is a state of creation. So I was living with this question, what is the state of creation? And at one point when I started to be in a state of creation, because I started to commit to not just knowing the theory, I started to commit to doing it. I started to understand that when you live in a state of creation, you are applying the universal laws. And there's not just one law of attraction, there's many other laws. And those of you who are studying with us, who are playing with us, you know that there's many other laws that people don't think about. And they are very often violating those laws. And because they're violating those other laws, they are not getting the results. So this is what we do in the appreciation game. We give you the appreciation, which is the optimal, the optimal minimum for actually living a magical life. But we also give you all these inspired teachings day by day, so that you can think, oh, wow, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about this. So other things that we do when we live in a state of creation, we start to believe in the end result. So that is why we can live from the end result, meaning we assume that it already happened. And also we start to go into abundance consciousness, prosperity consciousness, and that will have a huge effect on how you actually perceive the reality of the 3D world that we live in. Is actually, it responds to your consciousness. So if you're coming from scarcity consciousness, that is what you're going to get. But if you shift your vibration to prosperity consciousness, that is what you're going to get. And also, when you live in a state of creation, you're very often living in the higher realms of the David Hawkins state of consciousness. So very often these people are minimum in 200 courage, but more often they're actually in acceptance, which is 350 and above. And definitely life gets so much better when you're above 200, but the more you go up, the more you trust, the more you forgive, the more you accept people as they are, and the more you start to rely on yourself and not blaming other people, not thinking anybody can give you anything, you are going to manifest more and more and more, because you're signaling to the quantum field and to the universe, I am worthy, I am ready. And then you are hearing all the blocks of thought that source is giving you, so that you become a cooperative component to your biggest dream and to the dream that other people want to co-create with you. Yeah. So, and that is when you go there, when you go to these higher levels of consciousness, because you're appreciating, you go into what we call the receptive mode, and you become an allower. Instead of becoming a professional resistor, resisting everything, protesting everything in your life, making other people wrong, making the news wrong, the media wrong, your life wrong, astrology wrong, whatever it is that you want to make wrong, even yourself wrong, you start to allow things and you surrender, and things just happen magically. Very, very important is that appreciation is the quickest and the simplest way to heart and brain coherence. And if you really know the research of heart and brain coherence has huge effects, not just on yourself, but on people around you as well. And heart and brain coherence means that you are actually much more intuitive. You make better decisions. You are more telepathic. You are just in tune with the intuition of people. So you know who to work with. You know who to have a big deal with. You know when to call people. And actually, because you're so in tune, you start connecting with other people who are in tune. So you very often, when you meet each other, you just don't even have questions or doubts. You just know, this is the person I need to close the deal with. This is the person I need to date. This is the person I need to run away from. Yeah. And that is not a bad thing. It is because you're so intuitive and you actually can feel, you're so aligned that you feel what's coming off from the intention and consciousness from the other person. But what is more important is when you actually appreciate, because you appreciate yourself and you appreciate others, you see through the eyes of source. So you see beyond the veil of the mask and the persona that people are living. Maybe even when people are in fear, you're not judging them anymore. You just have compassion with them. If people are complaining and playing the victim, you don't say, oh my God, I really hate these people. You just think, wow, I was once there. And you start to focus on appreciating the contrast. You appreciate their journey. So you become an actually much better person. Life is much more fun, and really, because you're not judging, you're not being dragged down by negative people, you actually lift people up. So that is why people in heart and brain coherence, they have such a profound influence on people around them. And also what is more important, appreciation is a real life example of the law of vibration, which is the primary law. The primary law says that when what you radiate out into the field is what you receive. So a lot of people just think, oh, I need to think thoughts, but then they're thinking positive thoughts, but their frequency is a lack of word. Oh, I don't believe it. Oh, you know, what happens if I get to success? Oh my God, people are going to be jealous. Oh, I can't be successful because I'm going to pay too much taxes. Or I can't be in a relationship because, you know what, I still have, like, you know, I still have my my little children, and they can't see me dating somebody else. I don't know what it is, what's going on in your life, but whatever you are, whenever you create a dissonance between your beautiful vision board and your beautiful dreams and actually your vibration, guess what is going to win? Law of vibration will dictate, and you are going to not create. And this is why when we appreciate everything. We do not create resistance. We just suddenly become aligned. So you don't even have to think, you don't even have to maybe look at your vision board or your mind movie 1,500 times a day. You are just so aligned that things just come to you. So that is really, really also what's happening with our players. Over time, more and more of them started getting the downloads and started living more as who they are, and things just magically come into their lives. And we didn't even ask them to like create a mind movie or a vision board. These things just happen because your vortex is so rich and so pregnant with all the things that you put there. You know, Source already knows what you want. So all we focus on is get busy doing appreciation. So what are the toxic ways of thinking? And we'll do an exercise here because it's very important that you understand the 7 toxic ways of thinking, because they're actually really habitual. And Abraham even says, when you are analyzing, which is using your mind here in any of the 7 ways here, when you're analyzing, you're not appreciating. So when you're appreciating, you're not analyzing. They cancel each other out. And actually, I am studying teachings where people teach, where, for instance, the release technique, where they say your mind is actually just a recording and playback machine. So let's say you are looking for a solution, but you haven't recorded the solution. Your mind cannot offer you the solution. So, and when a lot of us start thinking in analytical, logical thinking, we try to rationalize it, we try to figure it out, but actually the solution is in the field. And to get out of the analytical mind, which is just a record and play machine, we need to appreciate. Once we appreciate, we have a much more coherent energy field, and we start to receive the intuition, the non-local intuition in the field. So there's a lot of research in this. We actually spent a lot of time explaining this in the last game we played. And so, you know, so this is really, really valid research about this. So again, we've looked at this slide before. So let's look at what the 7 toxic ways of thinking and being does to us. So every time you have a chronic habit, it creates an identity, yeah? And these identities are not you at your best self, because you're at your best self, you're in your honeymoon period, you're in your best, you know, interview behavior, you're in your, you know, I'm presenting my world, my best self to the world behavior. But we're very honest to ourselves, and we start to look at some of the areas in our life where we are unconsciously using these 7 toxic ways of thinking. We actually have to look at who we are becoming. So when you devalue, meaning you are not appreciating, you're actually decreasing the value of either yourself or others, because there are no others. When you devalue others, you're devaluing yourself, yeah? So everything you send out to other people, you're judging other people, you're making them wrong, you are receiving that back from the unified field. So when we are devaluing, we start identifying with archetypes of the critic or the warrior that has to fight, that has to attack. And so can you imagine that we actually, when you start to listen to the inner chatter of yourself, your self-talk is so often in devaluation. So you're your worst inner critic. You are always, even if you think you're criticizing others or you're attacking others, you're actually attacking yourself. So When we go into victimization and blame, another one of the good things that we have in our society, in this 3D world we live in, is we start to blame other people, other things, you know, events, circumstances, anything except ourselves that is the cause of our misery, of our lack of success, of our, you know, health problem, or whatever it is. We do not even want to take responsibility that we created this reality. And that is where people start to lose their power. They give their power away. They start thinking of themselves as human beings. They don't see themselves as a spiritual being living a human life on a journey to actually remember who they are. So these people, and I've been there, you know, and I still slip back, you know, very often there, but I now recognize it because it's so damn painful. You know, when you slip back into victim, I just did a whole webinar about victim trance states and how you can recognize yourself in the victim trance states. That's going to be week 1 of our next game. Is really, as a victim, you're under 200 of the David Hawkins scale, and you lack ownership, and you are not connected to your resourcefulness. Yeah. Another toxic ways of thinking, and oh my God, I've been there as well, you know, especially in my career and even in my love life, always comparing and competing, always feeling there is not enough, you know, oh my God, this person has success. Oh, that means I will not have success because they will have taken that little piece of the pie. And so these people, when you are in comparing and competing, you're in survival mode again, and you're living in scarcity mindset. And actually, I've done a lot of studying of the prosperity teachings, and every prosperity book you read about will actually say that whatever you believe will be confirmed. So you might as well start believing in the prosperity consciousness, because that's the only way you're going to live a life that is in alignment with the true nature of reality, because it responds to your belief and to your faith, F-A-I-T-H. Time warping is, you know, Abraham says we're very often historians. Yeah, we are just watching history. We're watching what we created, and we talk about it, we complain about it, we go to therapy about it, you know, but actually we came here not to be historians and to project the past onto the future or the present moment. We came here to to create reality, not to face reality. But very often, because of the way our brains are wired, and I know this to be true, is you have very, very chronic, you know, default neural networks that keep you in the traps of being a historian. And very often you might even have like states of being like anger or depression or shame and guilt, unworthiness or urgency, you know, stress around it. So it's very, very serious, these things. So in the appreciation game, we give you the process of a very simple thing. It's the only antidote to the 7 toxic ways of thinking and being, which is appreciation. But imagine that you're not going to do it. You're going to, you know, there's actually, you can think of a lot of different tools to actually get out of these different identities. But appreciation is the simple solution. So when do we generalize? We generalize when we've had one experience and we start to think that that is how the world works. Haven't we been there before? So basically, when you generalize, you are blind to infinite possibilities. And those of you who have been doing the work and have been studying with the greatest teachers of our lifetime, you know who you are, you know that there are infinite possibilities. You've seen people manifest the infinite and the impossible, but now it's time to get out of this little neural network of generalization and to start living the infinite possibilities by identifying with your infinite self, your infinite interdimensional self. Another one, which is my favorite, catastrophic thinking. I'm really good at it. I will be the first one to say it. Somehow my body is wired in catastrophic thinking because of whatever's happened in my ancestry. And I'm not blaming here. This is really the family constellation background that I have. And research shows that, you know, whatever happens to our ancestors can show up in our DNA and can show up in the ways that we respond to stress. And so catastrophic thinking, you know, we're not trying to tell you that you are to blame. You are not to blame for anything that's going on in your life right now, but you are responsible for turning it around if you want to live a more peaceful, joyful, beautiful life. Catastrophic thinking is, I don't have to tell you, your amygdala is running fight, flight, and freeze, and you're blinded by fear, and you're only looking at the worst case scenario. And somehow, even despite, you knowing better, you might just go off in a tangent, and really the stress levels go up, and your thinking creates so much stress in your body that you just basically start to defend yourself in certain ways, or you withdraw in certain ways. Urgency is another one, and urgency is really, people don't really understand urgency, but anytime that you're in urgency, you are driven by fear and survival and not vision. And if you're not driven by vision, you don't see the possibilities, and you are coming from a scarcity mindset. So you can imagine, maybe you've recognized yourself in any of the 7 toxic ways of thinking. So so basically, when you are appreciating, you can turn it around. You can become a king. Instead of being a critic, you become the king and the queen, a ruler of your kingdom, of your soul, of your body, of your destiny. Instead of being a victim, you become a victor. Instead of being a survivor, just like I'm a survivor, that amazing song of Destiny's Child. No, you're not a survivor, you're a creator. Yeah. Instead of being a historian hypnotized by your conditioning and by the environment, you become a visionary. Instead of being blind to infinite possibilities because you're just generalizing, you become a sage. Yeah. So instead of being blinded by fear and crawling in a little corner and not doing anything, you become a hero or an explorer. And instead of being in urgency and just being driven by, oh my God, I have to do something, I have to take action to do something, you become a magician or an alchemist. So this is really the new identities that you can, and archetypes that you can activate in yourself once you start working with this little, very simple tool called appreciation. So I really want to explain why we chose the David Hawkins scale. I really, for the longest time, I've been trusting my downloads. And I can tell you, when I got the download, which was, you're going to study David Hawkins' book, Power versus Force, I was like, what? I do not understand that book. That book was so difficult for me. And those of you who have read it is like, in the beginning, you're like, wow. Why can't he just write normal English? So I actually had to listen to like a summary of the book. And then I actually read Letting Go, which is another book. But at one point, I don't know what happened, but I just got it. I just understood the David Hawkins consciousness scale. It was like I downloaded it. I didn't even need to read the book. And so I've been studying it with my masterminds for many years. And when I understood the David Hawkins scale, I understood that a lot of the answers about why we're not getting the stuff, why we're not manifesting the amazing, beautiful things, or when we do manifest them, how they turn sour, is because of the different levels of consciousness. And the big difference is that when you are under 200, under courage, you are not taking responsibility, because everybody here is blaming, everybody under 200 is blaming something for their results. They're not taking responsibility, and they're rather stuck in that person did this, that whatever, economy, or this thing in my family, or my ex-husband, or my boss, or, this corporate life is doing this to me. And those of you who have seen creators, there is not one successful creator that is blaming anything. They are always creators that are creating. They're very often living here. And this is not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that I got a download that I needed to understand this specific scale. And so this is why we want you to rate yourself 3 times a day, because what you're going to notice is that a lot of the players that start with us, they start somewhere here in shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire. Desire means you want it, but you don't feel you can have it. You just feel a longing, a yearning, but you don't feel you can have it, and this is a big thing that we need to rewire ourselves for. But also, very often what we see is people who are in pride. Although pride seems like a very beautiful energy, pride is a hide, as they would say in the release technique that I study. Pride is a high because you're still not coming from love. You're still coming from separation. And so a lot of the people in the personal development industry or the spiritual industry, they have spiritual pride. And I will tell you, it is very difficult to get out of spiritual pride. You need to get out of it, because anytime you're under 200, you are going to manifest results that are unsatisfactory, because the consciousness of where you are is not aligned with source. And because you're not aligned, you're radiating pride. Things are not good enough for you, or you're inferior, or you're superior. Guess what you're going to get back as results? Because the world is your mirror, right? So anytime you go into taking full responsibility, you start trusting, you start being optimistic, and dare I say it, you start forgiving. Oh my God, that was a big one for me. I will say it the first, it took me a lot of money to forgive. It took me a lot of different therapies to forgive, but I can tell you it was so worth it. It was so worth it, because once you are in 350, which is where you forgive, where you start cultivating compassion, the beautiful thing happens is, according to David Hawkins, and you will actually see it because I'm a headhunter, I see it in my candidates, people at 350 start magnetizing success to them. Why? Because people at 350, and this is in the book Letting Go of David Hawkins, people in 350 do not believe that anything can be given to them or taken from them. Imagine the power you have when you realize that you are the source of everything, and that you are aligned with source. Nothing, nobody can take anything away from you or give you anything. And these people who very often end up, as candidates that get, for C-suite jobs, they go anywhere. It doesn't matter what type of crisis is there. They feel that they are aligned, and because they are aligned, they see the alignment in an organization, they see the alignment before it's there, they see the best case scenario, and they just make things happen. And so these people have success magnetized to them. So really we are, so this is why we really want people to understand the David Hawkins skill. So because once you see the results in your life, and you're thinking, why am I not getting this? I've been doing this vision board for 500 years. I've been I don't know, I've been spending so much money coaching. Maybe it's because you're here in desire, you're more in craving, or maybe you're still here in neutrality, but you still haven't forgiven certain people. You're still thinking success is outside of you. So actually really the appreciation game, as you start playing it and you start seeing what your little blocks are, whether it's trust is a big one. I can tell you for a long, long time, I was hovering here. I was in 240. I just couldn't trust. I was like, I'm not trusting. I can't trust. So this is where you're going to, when you understand the David Hawkins skill, you're going to really see why you're getting the results you're getting. And you can let other people off the hook. It's not about other people. It's about yourself. It's about your own alignment. So that's just a fun little understanding about the appreciation game and how we run it. Of course, you also know the emotional guidance skill of Abraham is just another way of looking at your emotions, are always telling you whether you're in alignment or out of alignment with source. So here we have what we call the more negative emotions, or the uncomfortable emotions. And when you're here, you actually create, your frequency, your radiance is going to affect the outcomes. So whatever, even if the solutions are already there, your lover is already there, your amazing car is already there, I don't know, your business idea or funding is already there. When you're here, you cannot receive it. And actually the people that want to give it to you, they will feel your frequency and they will think something is off. And so I think this is why it's so important that we all do the work simply by whatever means comes to you. And for us, it's the appreciation, because it's so simple to actually really outgrow the habitual chronic ways where we're stuck in these negative emotions, because actually people can sense it from you. So we're going to go to the interactive part of the game. So you can see here 6 toxic ways of thinking, because there was not enough space. So I want you to look at this chart, and I want you to take a pen and paper. And I want you to look at, for instance, the most important area in your life, which is how you look at yourself. How do you see yourself? And so I can tell you that before I did an appreciation game, and I still am there very often, my inner chatter is so stuck here in devaluing that this is the inner program. Yeah. If I don't pay attention to myself, I go straight to here. And also, we want you to look not just at your inner chatter about yourself, you know, how do you talk to yourself? We also, but how do you feel about yourself? Because you can tell yourself, I'm the greatest, I'm the blah, 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 and actually feel super unworthy and, you know, complain all the time about other people. So let me give you a clue. How do you know what's really going on in your vibration? For self-image, for your predominant beliefs, you can find out by two things. One is, what do you complain about? Yeah. And what are you worried about? And so, but what you need to do is find out, where are you in your self-image complaining or worried about yourself or how you are perceived? And then find out which of the toxic ways of thinking is it? And then maybe write down other predominant beliefs that you're constantly worried about and constantly complaining about. If you do this homework and then you turn it around with appreciation, so whatever you've written down here, you turn it around with appreciation, you will see that this is such a life-shifting exercise. And what we're doing in the appreciation game is you're going to do this every day. You're going to do this, not only are you going to do this, you're going to read about other people doing it every day. And so you're going to be in our Mighty Networks game section. You're going to see people appreciating their lives and how they turn their lives around. You're going to have appreciation in front of your mind like 24/7. And what you see, it is such an uplifting thing to be doing that you will, like one of the things that we notice is every time we play the game, you know, the appreciation part or the sharing part of the group, that is really where people start to feel connected and where they feel super inspired, because the way you are appreciating is so different from the way another person is appreciating. But more miraculously, you see people growing. You see them going from disbelief, going from struggle, going from maybe needing a little bit of a TLC from the group to actually suddenly manifesting, and suddenly very often from nowhere, manifesting deals, manifesting clients, manifesting opportunities, manifesting downloads, manifesting healing. And so, and it's simply because they started aligning with who they are, because they had the accountability to do appreciation every day. So I really would advise you to maybe make a screenshot of this and to really do this exercise for yourself and to find out, how are you going to turn around these areas of your life if you're not gonna, you know, if you're not gonna do it with some kind of, you know, what I would call accountability. Maybe some of you don't need it. Maybe all of you are here and you only have everything here, and you don't even know what is this. Or you're like, what is that? I don't even know what it is. But imagine if you're normal, like a lot of people I know, like me, you're going to have a ball game turning around your catastrophic thinking. I'm really good at it. I mean, I could run a masterclass in catastrophic thinking. If you don't have catastrophic thinking, I can teach you catastrophic thinking. Definitely, I can also teach you blaming. I'm very good at that. And I'm really good at devaluing myself and projecting it onto others. So, you know, and I had to turn this all around, girls and boys, because it was too painful. It was so painful in my life. And it didn't matter how many teachings, how many books, how many retreats I went to. I mean, I think the main problem is we can escape in beautiful spiritual rituals, like, you know, I think yoga is one of them, or, you know, maybe, you know, I don't know what it is, a yogic breathing, or I don't know, angel cards, or maybe you're doing amazing meditations. But as soon as you open your eyes, because I assume that most of the time you're walking around with eyes wide open, what are the things that you're complaining and worrying about? And can you see that they're actually you just analyzing through this recording machine of your mind, which is your program? And actually, Ellen and I have now come to the conclusion, because the way that we've been building our business and the way that we're running our lives is that actually the program here in our mind doesn't have the answers. So Ellen and I, whenever we wanted to do anything for our business and we try to rely on the mind, nothing comes. The only way we can actually work is when the downloads come. So actually Ellen and I really have to surrender our life and our business to the downloads, because as soon as we try to do it from our mind, we get blocked. We are not in the flow. Ellen, can you share a little bit about how you started understanding the mind and how the mind works, and actually how the downloads work and how they're in complete contrast with each other?
Because it was so easy and it all flows, it just that's just the way it was, and it just sort of seemed like the new normal. But then sometimes to go back to struggling and efforting and being like, this has to get done, blah blah blah, and then we found that it just actually literally hurts. Like it hurts
and nothing happens, and we're just like trying, yeah, literally it hurts your brain, like you're trying to create a sentence and you just can't finish the sentence or something, right?
Yeah.
And we've done all the marketing, we know marketing, we know like copywriting, we know all the things, we have thousands of books. Ellen and I are like super geeks, but it just doesn't flow. And this is the thing, do you want to live your life where you are just relying on your analytical mind? It's amazing your MBA, it's amazing your library, but the answers are not there. The answers are in the field, law of polarity. You have a question, there's a solution, but you need to get out of the way, right? You have a problem, there's a solution, but you have to get out of the way. And definitely our habit of trying to figure it out, which is most biggest teachers, they make fun of it. They say, oh, are you trying to figure it out? And it's like, oh, sorry, I'm trying to figure it out. Actually, they're referring to the fact that the mind doesn't know. And we can use the mind in different ways. We can use the mind to become a receiver of the blocks of thought of source. And this is where people start mastering their alignment and mastering energy. This is so simple with the appreciation game. And actually, because we are giving you accountability and consistency, so this is really, really where it really becomes fun. And Ellen and I actually in the last game, because it was, the last game was played during lockdown, we really had to teach people how to get out of the analytical mind, because the analytical mind was just tuned into the mass consciousness of fear and catastrophic thinking and worst case scenario thinking. We had to teach people to recognize the blocks of thought of the fear of the mass consciousness and to tune out and to tune in to downloads. And actually a lot of people started mastering it even during lockdown. And so a lot of people now, even when they get triggered, they can really quickly go out of the catastrophic identity or the fearful toxins that are running their body. And most of the people that have been playing just 28 days with us, they're now in a state of being where they're much more peaceful, and they're much more like, wow, I can really feel that I'm not triggered anymore. Anything else you need to add, Ellen, about the last game we played, about this difference between relying on your mind and relying on your thinking versus the alignment?
No, I think that's just go jump on a trampoline and play, and then do something, because figure out what brings you into alignment quickly and then do it, not forcing and efforting, because it just doesn't work.
Yeah, but what we're trying to explain is that when you start to understand how the mind is so stuck in these 7 toxic ways of thinking, you are going to rely less and less on figuring it out, using your intellect. And we're not saying follow your heart, because actually we were studying the book Heart Intelligence by the HeartMath Institute, and actually it's not about following the heart. It actually is about using the heart so that you create heart and brain coherence, and then you start receiving. You become a receiver, you become a tuning fork for the solutions. So it's not just as simple as following your heart, because that is not what it is about. It's actually, alignment is much more than following your heart, okay? So I hope that was a really good exercise for all of you, and that you're going to gain a lot of benefit for yourself, just to understand how you can get out of these toxic ways of thinking, but also how you can get out of the illusion that the mind has answers, because it doesn't, because the mind can never have an answer that you didn't put it in there. Yeah. So let's say you've never had success in your business, and you are always like going to experts, you know, and you're still trying to figure out, and you're doing another marketing course, you're doing another like copywriting course, or maybe video course. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying don't do those courses, but I'm saying ultimately the big answers are outside. They're in another realm. And so the appreciation game, again, you get accountability, you have the life-changing process of appreciation, you have the uplifting group energy, and you have us, and you have the bonus classes, etc. So you can play it for the 1 month, 3 months, or 6 months. The next game is Waking Up in Your Best Case Scenario edition. So every 28 days, you have a new theme. And because there's so much going on in the collective, this time it's waking up in your best case scenario. And why waking up? Waking up is because we so often go unconscious when we are not appreciating. When we go into habitual modes of being, we completely go back into the default of the 7 toxic ways of thinking. And so we need to wake up from these programs, and we need to then choose deliberately to tune into the best case scenario, because the best case scenario is a quantum potential that if you are a vibrational match to it, you will receive the blocks of thoughts from the best case scenario. And those of you who are interested, we actually shot a whole video with the players of the last game where they gave testimonials of what they were doing, what they manifested during the last game. That was during lockdown. We had people that had their best months in business while they couldn't even get out of the house, people that reinvented their business, people that started up new businesses, and people that were just believing in possibility more than believing in the mass fear of doom and gloom that was going on. So the previous game, which was all about business, we had people that had 0 revenue because they had a business and they were just too stuck. And then when they started playing with us, they actually manifested 14K of revenue. Other people, it took them like 6 months to gather like 40K revenue. They did it in 1 month when they were working with us. Another person who's an amazing player, she actually had this theme in trend in her business where always the first 4 months she would have no business. And when she started appreciating, when she started understanding that it was her consciousness that created this, she started going to actually levels, she started creating that she was fully booked from January onwards. And even during lockdown, she created a new business idea that she is now, I think, famous for. And she started doing all these things coming from download. She started trusting herself. So I think really this appreciation game is really allowing you to be the cooperative component to your wildest dreams, to the things that you really were waiting for. So it's gonna start Thursday night. So when you sign up before Thursday night, 9 p.m., you will have the 1 month of the book club and the Law of Vibration book and movie club for free. So we're going to start week 1 with really looking at yourself, really looking at how we talk to ourselves, how we talk ourselves out of possibility, how we've been holding ourselves back, and how we get stuck in all these different archetypes. Second week is we are going to see everything, including other people, difficult people, you know, business clients, romantic partners, ex-partners, parents, you know, children, governments. We're going to see it through the eyes of Source, because this is such a game changer. It will change your whole life when you start seeing through the eyes of Source. Week 3 is really going to be about this most amazing process of Abraham Hicks called calibration. And this is a game changer again. It goes beyond, it's like the fine tuning of appreciation. It's like the next step. It's like, especially in those areas where you have a lot of negative thoughts and behaviors. And in week 4, we're going to really focus on being in the receptive mode so that you can trust your downloads and so that you can take inspired action instead of working hard. Yeah, so basically, to go back to what are others, according to the teachings of Abraham, others are really a reflection of the relationship you have with yourself. There aren't actually any others. It is actually all about the relationship you have with yourself. They are projections of that. You can change the people and new ones will appear with the same dynamic, but it's changing your emotions, meaning your consciousness and your vibration, that changes the dynamics, whether with the same people or new people. And all of us have to deal with these people, right? You know, you have a business, you'll have to deal with other people. You have a relationship, you live in a street, you live, even in lockdown, we had to rely on other people, right? So these others, and now it's so important that we start to see others as extension of our projection and extensions of our consciousness. And so once you start understanding that, you know, you are doing this appreciation game and it will enhance so many areas of your life, you will really, really start to understand it. What we actually saw in one of the games is that people who are, for instance, doing the money game with us, they actually started realizing that they were so unappreciative about the personal relationships. So a lot of players in the money game, they started actually manifesting better relationships, and they actually even got out of this really difficult pattern of maybe thinking about divorce all the time, or thinking that there was something wrong with their hobby. And actually what they started doing is, because they were in such a high vibration, they started affecting their intimate partners. Or, you know, one of the last people in our game, she said in her testimonial, when I started doing the appreciation game, I started feeling worthy to receive. And because I started feeling worthy to receive, I started realizing that I had a whole new family. They were the same people, but I started seeing them differently and they started acting differently. So this appreciation can touch so many areas of your life, and you'll start to see how habitually we have been trained to be in victimhood, to be in blame, to be in like, you know, a critic, and not just of other people, most of all of ourselves. So it's really about emotional mastery. There's a lot of concepts that we can give you, but you know, this is the optional. We do a lot of different practices and tools. I want to show you how the appreciation game works. So this is like one of the days in the appreciation game. So day 2 in week 2, I believe. You can see how much we give, and then people responding to it. This is the accountability, all the people writing about it. People actually don't always write this much. We just have a few people that just love writing. They just love sharing the love, yeah. You can just write one sentence. That's your accountability. You can just say, I hate Ellen and Angelique because I don't like this accountability, but I'm still here. Whatever it is you want to write, as long as you write something, you know, we're not going to kick you out. And if we kick you out, we're going to give you a really nice and juicy assignment. Oh, gosh. Okay. Okay, appreciating contrast to draw on a positive outcome. So what we also do sometimes is we share a video, and very often people love the videos, or so we talk about the holographic universe, and we show you quotes or little different videos. So people are really, they really love the assignment. So we have a lot of videos, sometimes very often short videos, and people then share their what they've learned, and people start posting other videos. And this is the juicy part of the game, yeah. Apart from the fact that your vibration is going to go higher and higher and higher because you're so inspired by other people. And also when you're having an off day, you will see the love of people. People want to give you love. There's so much love in our community because we really, really want people to do that. So again, what will it cost you? You know, I think we really wanted to make it a high investment game. So we said, what is the price that people, that the dabblers, we're going to avoid them. So the dabblers are not going to come for $3.33 per month because that's too much. They want it for 30 pounds or 30 euros, right? So we're going to make it $3.33. But we knew that if people play for 6 months, they're going to look back and think, who was I? Who am I? Like, who was that? And that's why we give you a whopping 45% discount when you play with us for 6 months. But you can also play with us for 3 months. Yeah. So the only thing that I would say is, if you don't play the game, you know, how much will it cost you not to raise your vibration? How much will it cost you to just know it and to not do it? just to be a philosopher, as Dr. Joe would say, just to know all the books. You are going to buy the next book again, or you're going to do the download again of another product, another digital product, or you're going to be in another membership program. You're just going to know, and in the meantime, you're walking around devaluing yourself. You're walking around thinking in lack of possibility. You're walking around thinking, why are other people manifesting things and I'm not? Literally, it's because we have to break the habit of being ourselves. And this is why Ellen and I were so inspired, and we're so grateful that the divine gave us a download. You're going to create a game. You're going to work with Ellen. We're going to guide you step by step, because literally, we actually don't have a clue what we're doing. We're just following the downloads. And when we get it, we feel so excited, and our players feel the excitement. And that's how we design the game. So, yeah, this is it. I hope that this was short and brief. Ellen, did I miss something?
No, perfect.
Yeah.
Just maybe if anyone has any questions, I just added the link to the appreciation game feed that's free. So we actually just showed the part where we play the game. That's of course the paid part, and it's secret, but you can go in there and look at all the other content. I also added the link of the testimonials webinar we ran recently, because it was so much fun. And I think you really want to watch that if you haven't watched it yet. The link that has EE Pearl, that one is the sign up link for our email list. So if you want to be up to date on whenever we've run, we have interviews and stuff as well, and webinars. So if you want to be kept in the loop about that, you can also get that in the Mighty Networks if that you prefer that. But if you like getting an email with the link and stuff, you can sign up for the email list. And there's the link for the next game if you want to play with us.
Yes, and also we want to say we give 20% affiliate commission for those who are referring clients to us. So if you are somebody with a big network, or you want to try out our game, we want to invite you as an affiliate, and you can actually then, you know, pass it on to your communities if you love our game. A lot of the new players in our game are actually friends of friends, and a lot of people just like try and like bring in their friends and, you know, their partners and things like that, because they're just seeing that you know, you can read another book. Yes, you can go to a retreat. Yes, you can go to a gong bat, I don't know what, like gong bat, like blah, 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 or take a course and, you know, can do a lot of therapy. But actually, it is the accountability that counts. It is the doing it day by day and catching yourself in your habitual habits and creating new habits on a day-to-day basis. And I cannot think of a more simpler way to change your life than through the amazing process of appreciation. So yeah,
it's like being in a retreat, but you're in your normal life, so you're getting the benefits from going to a retreat, which is always amazing if you've ever been to one. But then you come back home, but now you're home and you're in a retreat. So
yes,
the best way to incorporate all the skills without losing it when you get home, because you are home.
Yes. So Ellen and I want to thank you for listening. We hope that you gained a lot about just understanding the huge benefits of appreciation, what appreciation is, and how it will take you out of the 7 habitual toxic ways of thinking and being. And we do much more in the appreciation game, but we really want to focus on the core of the game, which is the process of appreciation and all and what it can do for your life. So so thank you, everybody. We're going to end it now. And we love you all. And we hope to see you. Bye-bye. Bye.